Everyone in business knows what it's like to feel stuck. It can happen. It's a terrible feeling. It's kind of like you're pushing against a wall and nothing that you're working on is going right. The truth is, your mindset can be the difference between success. It can also be the greatest obstacle you will ever face. So if your mindset is in the right place, you're not going to be able to do the things that you want to do. And this is actually working against you wanting bigger possibilities and taking your company to a whole new level. So in this video, I'm going to share 5 mindset tips to open you to bigger possibilities and potential profits. If you've been on a live at all, you know that I tend to give you a lot in a short amount of time. So if you want the show notes, then drop the word mindset in the comments and I will send them your way when we get done. Now, a disclaimer too is make sure that you give Restream your permissions, because if you don't, once I get done, I can see who's commented, and on occasion there is a technical glitch and I want to make sure that you get access to these. Okay, so my name is Joyce Lehman and I show coaches how to attract and connect with their ideal clients online using simple social systems so they can generate more leads and make a bigger impact without getting overwhelmed in the process. Now, I want to clarify what I'm talking about today. This is not law of attraction. I know there's a lot of people that coach on that. That is absolutely not what this is. Back in 2005, I went through training with the Pacific Institute. They've worked with millions of people globally, and it's based in cognitive psychology and social learning theory. Simply put, performance mindset. It's how your mind works at the conscious and subconscious level. So this is science-backed information that I am going to be sharing. So if you are ever frustrated with your results, we're already moving through this year crazy fast. And if you're wondering, it's like I set a revenue goal and you didn't quite get there, or things just aren't working out, the first question you want to ask yourself is, do you have a solid strategy in place? Do you have a solid brand strategy, a solid revenue strategy? That's with your offers, a solid marketing strategy, and a solid system strategy. Do you have those things in place? And are you taking action daily on the important things that you need to be doing? There was a quote I put out not too long ago that says, stop focusing on the dumb shit and focus on the things that matter. So if you have a solid strategy and you're doing the right things, then sometimes it can be that mindset gap that you need to solve. So first off, your number one tip is become aware of self-doubt. You've probably heard of imposter syndrome. I have seen some of the biggest CEOs in the business, like Ursula Burns, who was the CEO of Xerox at the time. She confessed to having imposter syndrome at a conference in front of 800 women. This is a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company talking about her mindset gets in the way of what she's trying to accomplish. And she questions what she does. And that's where that self-doubt can come in. So one of my top performing reels was talking about a science-backed way to achieve your goals. And I shared the difference between your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex. So the amygdala part of your brain, it's risk averse. This is what kept us alive, during all the years that we have been evolving, because it kept us safe. It protected us from danger. The dilemma is with that, anytime you do something new, anytime you set a goal, anytime you want to push a comfort zone, that's where your amygdala can literally stop you from what you're wanting to accomplish. That's where that self-doubt kicks in. Am I good enough? Do I have the right education? Why would they listen to me? Maybe it's, I don't even know, what I'm doing if you're looking at a new tech platform. So part of this, first off, is when you become aware of what you're thinking, then it's much easier to stop that self-doubt and consciously shift what you're attempting to do. Because if you didn't know, we're on subconscious autopilot 95% of the time. We're cruising through the day, we get caught up in all the things, but we don't realize that we're not consciously thinking it's these habits. It's no different than why you get in your car and you go to drive from point A to point B. You get there safely, but you have completely forgotten the drive. That's because we get into subconscious habits over 95% of the time. That's what we do. So the other thing to keep in mind is when it comes to doubt and subconsciously how it works in the mind is when that one doubt creeps in, whether it be imposter syndrome or just something you're not familiar with, especially when it comes to, like I said, a new strategy. It could be a new tech platform that you haven't dealt with. When one doubt creeps in, then it can compound and another doubt's going to creep in and another doubt's going to creep in. And then you get into that downward spiral. And that's when you find yourself saying, I don't know how to do that. I haven't done this before. If you're working with a team, I used to do consulting within companies, and it became this collective conversation that was happening within the team and people didn't even realize it. So first off, here's how you overcome self-doubt is a lot of times when you start to doubt yourself, it's because you're hitting that comfort zone, that subconscious comfort zone that you may not be aware of. We also have a ton of beliefs that have been instilled in us. They say the majority of our beliefs happen by the time we're 8 years of age. Isn't that crazy to think? But it's from what we've been told. It's what we see. It's what we hear. It's what we read. So that's why start to question. It's, when did I decide this? That's such a great question. When did I decide this? When did I decide that I wasn't smart enough? Or when did I decide that I couldn't tackle this new technology thing? So that's a great way to squash that self-doubt. So then you can start focusing on what you need to, because it takes just as much energy to talk yourself into something as it does to talk yourself out of it. So self-doubt is number one. Mindset tip number two, stop catastrophizing. Oh my gosh, I am so guilty of this. I have done it. I admit to it. That part of it is because I've been working with mindset techniques since 2005. I tend to become aware faster. And I also have a great accountability team with business associates and friends that I can call on to literally kick my ass back in gear and do the things that I need to do. So what happens when you catastrophize is you start to see failure in advance, even though it hasn't happened, right? You're thinking about all the things that can go wrong. There's a stat that says over 65% of our thoughts are negative. That's a lot of negative thoughts, and it can impact how your day goes, what you're willing to try. It's even reaching out to that person on social media that you know is this perfect client, but yet you start hesitating because you're like, they're not going to like me. They're not going to buy what I have. And it's blah, 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 all that self-talk that just goes on and on and on. So a great tip to overcome that. When that happens, I usually text my friend Jennifer, and she's got her own company. And it's like, this is the crap that's going on in my head. And it's like, kick me back to where I need to be. I need that reality check. Sometimes I recognize what's going on. And there is a difference, I will tell you, between grief and catastrophizing, between having an emergency come up that you have to deal with and catastrophizing for no good reason. There's a big difference. It's the catastrophizing piece that you need to, as I say, everybody can have a pity party, just don't stay long and don't invite anybody. So that's that important part where you want to make sure that you are, and I'm over here checking, hang on, I'm over, oh, that's going to be a big part of this. So what happens is you start catastrophizing and then you realize we got issues. So with that, you can fight failure by reminding yourself of past successes. So that's where, as I mentioned, the amygdala versus your prefrontal cortex is when you remind yourself of past successes and things that you want, and then you start visioning towards the future. The past successes, those are the wins. It's what you did right. I don't care how small it was. It makes such a big difference. So that can help you to push past that. Also, you've heard take massive action. Don't take massive action. Take imperfect action. Just starting is going to help kick your mindset into gear. And if you get the one win, then you can build on it and you can keep going. So that is going to help you not taking massive action. Okay, number 3, stop complaining. Big one, stop complaining. Every time you start to complain, spoiler alert, you cause what you complain about. Why? That is negativity bias that kicks in. That is negativity bias in your brain. And you're not going to be understanding what's going on, but you're literally causing it. So negativity bias, it means we're drawn more quickly, strongly, and persistently to the bad things than to equivalent good things. Also goes back to hunter-gatherer days. It was what kept us safe because we were wired to focus on threats and danger. Well, now your cell phone is a threat. It's every time it goes off, it's the 100 emails that you get a day. It's all those things that happen that can cause that negativity bias. It can trigger fight or flight response. So make sure that anytime you start to complain, as I said, you can just as easily talk yourself into something as you can talk yourself out of it. Then when you recognize it, then you can stop it in its tracks. The other thing to keep in mind is if you've got kids around you, if you've got a team around you, they are so paying attention to what you are saying. So that's why it's super important that you want to make sure, yes, you can have limiting beliefs. Are there things you aren't going to know? Absolutely. But stop complaining. So difference between acknowledging something and what's happened and complaining. All right, mindset tip number 4, ditch the money blocks. This is a big one. All too often we have them. I have been guilty of this in the past. As I said, awareness is key. So one of the reasons why you want to ditch money blocks is if you keep saying you don't have enough money or you can't earn that, then that's going to stop you from doing the very thing that you want to, which is earning money and generating revenue for your business. And money blocks a lot of times come because of our worthiness. It's what we believe we deserve. And these blocks can happen based on what your parents have told you or what that coach or that teacher from years ago can have an impact on that. All right, so here's a question. As I said, you've got show notes if you want them. So do any of these sound familiar? I don't deserve to make money. I'll never make money. I'm not smart enough to make money. Only other people make money. I don't have the audience that they do, so I'll never make money. I'm not good with money. When we believe that we can't make money, then guess what? You're never going to be able to make the money that you want to in your business. And what you want to generate revenue-wise is totally up to you. It's totally unique for each person. So as I said early on, this is not about law of attraction. And I'm not telling you that you can just say, poof, I'm going to be a millionaire and it's going to happen. It's not how it works. Although there are some coaches that teach that, which drives me nuts. You've got to have a good strategy. You've got to make sure that your message is on target for your audience. You've got to do work consistently. But those mindset blocks can also get in the way because they will make you procrastinate on the very things that you need to do to get your business to the next level. All right, so mindset tip number 5, pay attention to what you fuel your mind with. If you're on social media, if you read the news, if you watch television, every single day, you're going to see all the crap that is happening in the world. Because guess what? That's how television shows, that's how media outlets, they get paid for ratings. Whether it's right or wrong, whether they inflate a headline, whether they inflate the clip that they're getting you to watch the news, some of it is true and some of it is to get your attention. So you're going to come on, but those things aren't necessarily there. As an example, there's been talk about going into recession forever and ever, but when you watch the actual numbers that are coming out, the economic forecast, the number of jobs that are increasing and all of that, if you look at the financial analysts and the people that actually know, we're not headed towards a recession. We're actually doing well. Inflation is coming down, but a lot of the headlines aren't telling you that. So then what happens is we get into that, oh my God, we start catastrophizing. And it's like, gotta look beyond that and then make sure that you're fueling your mind with the right thing. There's a term that says garbage in, garbage out. So if you're only putting garbage in, guess what? You're not going to get the right stuff out. Also, when we're being hit with a variety of media sources, I don't don't look at email, and I also don't look at the news first thing in the morning. I look at things to get my mindset right so I can tackle the day. Also keep in mind that interruptions have a massive impact on what's going on. So if you do not have your notifications turned off on your email, just notice that sometimes if you're already stressed with a deadline and you get another pop-up on your email or Apple Watches, I refuse to wear an Apple Watch because if I got buzzed every time and I've got lots of texts and phone calls, I would never get any work done. Stats show it takes up to 16 minutes to get your focus back once it gets interrupted. So if you keep getting interrupted, it goes back to pay attention to what you fuel your mind with. All right, so your truth bomb, to change anything, it starts with awareness. That is so important in this process. And a bonus tip is focus on gratitude. So going through all those pieces, when you use gratitude and you start remembering what you're grateful for, you are grateful for your wins, no matter how small, even if it's you drank more water for that day, that actually helps shift your amygdala out of its, I don't want to do that, into your prefrontal cortex. It literally lights up. When you start visioning, when you're grateful, it lights up a portion of your brain. So you can use that to your advantage when you need to shift your mindset. As I said, research shows 60% of our thoughts are negative. So you need to be very consciously aware of what it is that you're doing so you can shift past that and start getting the results that you want more consistently. All right, so a great thing to ask, especially if you have kids and even yourself, is what was the best thing that happened to you that day? And what are 3 things that went well that day? As I said, they don't have to be huge, but it's that shifting over to gratitude that can make a huge difference. So with that, going back to, if you want the show notes, drop the word mindset and I will send the show notes your way. And I get asked regularly, it's like, can you do, this is not cooperating. It's like, can you do a quick recap as far as, instead of sitting here and watching, because we've been going about 20 minutes, yes, I'm going to do a quick recap for you, and that will be sent out separately. So here are 5 mindset tips to open you to bigger possibilities and potential profits. So if you've been frustrated with the results that you're getting, or maybe you've had one of those weeks or one of those months and you've got multiple deadlines and things just aren't hitting right, or God forbid, you've had some sort of crazy thing happen personally, or with a family member that gets you off track, your mindset using these 5 tips can help you get back on track. And as one that's experienced far too much grief in my life with the loss of parents and brother, then these mindset tips have helped me as well. So the first thing that you need to ask yourself is, do you have a solid strategy? Do you have a solid brand strategy? Do you have a solid revenue strategy? Do you have a solid marketing strategy? And do you have a solid system strategy? Say that 3 times fast, for your business. So if you have a solid strategy and you're actually taking action on things, then that's where you can see that maybe it is your mindset that's getting in the way. So to be clear, this is not law of attraction. I know there are coaches that teach on that. And this is actually cognitive science. It's performance mindset, how the mind works, conscious, subconscious. And I have been studying this. I've been trained in this since 2005. It's powerful stuff when you use it. So mindset tip number 1, be aware of self-doubt. Imposter syndrome can sneak in at any given time. I've heard some of the most successful people in the world admit to having imposter syndrome. What happens is when you have one little doubt, and it's the difference of, I haven't done this before, I haven't tried this before, maybe that technology platform is new. When you have that self-doubt, it could be that you're just pushing a comfort zone. Over 95% of what you do is controlled by your subconscious. So anything outside that new goal, that can be pushing comfort zones. Recognize we are risk-averse creatures. In the brain, your amygdala is the part of your brain that literally wants to keep you safe. It also keeps you stuck. So if you find out that you are starting to resist something, there's a good chance you're pushing a comfort zone. good for you. But it's one of those things that it takes just as much effort to talk yourself into something as it does to talk yourself out of it. So be aware when self-doubt creeps in. One of the best things that you can do, take action. Doesn't have to be huge action. Small steps consistently are going to get you so much further down the road. All right, mindset tip number 2, stop catastrophizing. Just stop. We're all guilty of it, but this is the thing. It's that thinking about future events, that something's going to go horribly wrong, and it hasn't even happened before. That's what catastrophizing is. Science shows over 60% of our thoughts are negative. No wonder with all the crap that we see online and headlines and just there are some crazy people in the world. Don't get me wrong, I see that. But depending on what you're seeing and what you're reading, or if it's something that's really outside your comfort zone, you start to catastrophize for no reason. So how you keep yourself from doing that is, first off, have somebody that you can go to that will lovingly kick you in the backside and say, hey, get your mindset right to get you over that. Then number 2 is think about past what you've accomplished in the past, right? What are those wins that you've had, those successes that you've had? And then think through and go, well, I've done that. I can do this in the future. That's when you engage your prefrontal cortex. You'll literally light it up. It's that visioning process. And then focus on taking small steps consistently. Don't take major action, take imperfect action. Small steps are going to get you there. You notice the tip for 1 and 2 are a lot alike. Okay, number 3, stop complaining. You cause what you complain about. You cause what you complain about. Yes, that is a scientific fact. Why? There's a thing called negativity bias. It means we're drawn more quickly, strongly, and persistently to bad things than to equivalent good things. So what happens is the more you complain, the more your brain, your subconscious starts to see all the bad stuff, what's going on versus all the good stuff that could be right here. You're literally drawn towards what you think about. No different. You put a kid on a bike, you shove them to go off down the road. There is a rock in the road and you say, don't hit the rock. They're most likely going to go hit the rock. The same thing happens in your brain. Stop complaining. There are no excuses with that. All right, mindset tip number 4, ditch the money blocks. That is a big thing, especially if you've got your own business. The majority of our beliefs are formed by the time we're 8 years of age. So depending on how your parents talked about money, how your family, coaches, teachers, wherever that is, or you may have thought that you're not good enough. We've never had this kind of money. How could you do that? I want to make sure and read these. And by the way, they're in the show notes. If you want them with the recap, drop that. So if you say, I don't deserve money, I'll never make money, I'm not smart enough to make money, they have more followers than I do, so how can I ever make money because I'm not getting the likes and comments that they want? I'm not good with money. These are all money blocks that can get in the way. The dilemma is, as long as you say, you've got that money block, it's going to stop you from making the revenue that you want to make in your business, whatever that goal might be for you. So as I've said, use those first 3 tips above. And then once you become aware, that's the big thing. Awareness is key when you start to shift what you say. You shift beliefs, you shift negativity bias, you shift out of your amygdala into your prefrontal cortex. Awareness is that big key. All right. And then mindset tip number 5, pay attention to what you fuel your mind with. As I said in the morning, I don't read the news. I don't check emails. I make sure that I am focusing on the right things to get my mindset right. I want to be clear and focused. Sometimes it's taking a walk. Sometimes it's just getting that quiet time because I know the rest of the day is going to be super busy, but that helps get me positioned for success as the day goes through. The other thing that happens too is if you've got notifications going off all over the place, that can also fuel your mind in a negative way. If you've got a deadline and you got an Apple Watch on and the thing is dinging all the time, every time it takes you out of focus, it can take up to 16 minutes to get your brain refocused and back on track. So if you get to the end of the day and you want to know where the day is gone, there is a good chance that an Apple Watch, it could be notifications here, it could even be email notifications, are getting you off track. So it's super important that when it comes down to how you fuel your mind, it's like pay attention to those notifications so you can definitely be on your game. Because ultimately, here's your truth bomb. Truth bomb. To change anything, it starts with awareness. Otherwise, you're going to wonder why you set the goals, you didn't achieve the goals, you didn't do everything that you wanted to do, your month didn't go as planned, the revenue didn't come in. So whatever that is, then go back to awareness is key when you want to open your mindset to bigger possibilities and potential profits. So with that, you've got the show notes. The other thing of if you want, this happens to be my Drive Planner, my weekly GPS. This is a part of my paid Drive planning system. However, if you want the weekly GPS, which is going to help you get clear on your priorities, clear on your plan, there's a habit tracker in there, and then it actually has this mile marker process, which is pretty cool. So you can see how the week went and then get positioned for the future. I am happy to send it your way. So post the comment Drive or weekly GPS in the comments, and I will get that to you. So as always, I know that not everybody's able to show up live. Some of you are catching via replay, but we will be back again next week with tips to help you build your brand, get your marketing in line, create offers that convert, and of course, simple systems to give you more time so you can make a bigger impact. Catch you next time.